This is Antony Rotunno. This is the first in a series of interviews with local musicians in Madrid. And my first victim is David Ernsberger. Did I pronounce that right?
Close enough.
All right, that's good. How do we pronounce it?
Ernsberger.
Ernsberger, that's what it said.
You said
What did I say?
Ernsberger.
Ah, yes.
Ernsberger.
I can't help sounding sophisticated. Right.
And me the opposite.
Okay, I'm going to give you a few standard, banal questions about music, and then we're going to get deep and philosophical later, and then we're going to finish with a song. So, first of all, tell us where you're from, and for the ignorant guy from the middle-class suburbs of England, you might have to clarify exactly.
All right.
So tell us where you're from, anyway. And
I was born in a little town in northern Michigan called Scandia, little tiny little place. Maybe there's 800 official residents there, but there's no real town center or anything. It's just born in a farmhouse.
Are there any famous musicians from there?
No.
But isn't... where's Madonna from?
Detroit.
She's from Michigan, right?
Detroit.
Is that anywhere near?
That's 8 full hours of driving away.
Yeah, but if you come from England, that's pretty close.
Well, you can fly there quicker than you can drive there from.
So there's not... So any other famous musicians from Michigan?
From Michigan?
Yeah.
Bob Seger.
Eminem.
But
White
these are all
Stripes?
Detroit people. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jack White is from there. There's all sorts of... Yeah.
Okay. And do you reckon like where you're from influenced your music? Because your music, to me, sounds quite... What's the word? Rural or pastoral?
It is.
It's quite rootsy.
Very much, I
So
think.
do you reckon that's
yeah.
to do... I don't have this image of were you like outside on summer evenings out on the porch with your acoustic guitar?
Not quite.
Not
Not
exactly,
me.
no, okay.
Not me, but we had hammer dulcimer. We all had to take piano lessons when we were kids. We had no television, nothing like that. So
Oh, dulcimer.
you had to make your own entertainment. A lot in the same way that people from Appalachia, which is where I guess my sound of music would maybe be placed.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because I was going to call it hillbilly music.
No,
No, you do have one song with the yodeling. That's why
I'm a hillbilly.
you are a hillbilly.
I am
okay.
a hillbilly. Well,
Okay. All right. Tell us when you started playing and who are your influences and what instruments do you play and what did you start with?
I mean, I had to take lessons when I was a kid.
Right.
Like 5 years old, you'd go and you're forced to take piano lessons, and I begged for guitar lessons when I was 6 or 7, but all we had was a ukulele that you had to glue together every week. So I never got to practice on that. I could glue it and then go to the lesson and play on it for the lesson. But
So when did you start playing voluntarily then?
Oh,
And was it guitar first?
yeah, probably guitar. About age 19, typical college student sitting around hoping to one day attract females to him.
And what about influences?
Influence.
Who are you listening to before you started playing, and who do you think you're influenced by?
Now let's see. The first time I went with commercial music, my first 2 purchases were Green Day, Dookie, and Billy Joel, The River of Dreams, at the same time.
And when's that?
So,
early 90s?
Yeah, 12 years old. Let's just put it in a.
Okay.
But
I don't feel like Green Day's influenced your music particularly, though.
no, you don't.
No.
You don't catch the Green Day punk influence in my.
I haven't really listened to much Green Day, to be honest.
Oh,
I just saw them as like a noisy punk band, but
Well, it was.
I don't know them that well, to be honest. But.
It was on the charts. It was what was on the charts when I had money to buy my first tapes, and but influences they come from all over the place. I can't place artist names as far as a person who influenced me in a big way.
Yeah.
But I just am sort of a vacuum.
Yeah.
And I hoover up
Yeah.
music from all over the place. And if I
You're a
like
sponge.
something, yeah. The problem is I can't reproduce any of it, so
Right.
what comes out is something that sounds sort of like maybe I'd be influenced by people like Hank Williams and Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash. If people were to say, "Oh, that's probably your direct line,"
Bob Dylan?
no, not so
Not
much
that
Bob
much,
Dylan. No.
Yeah, I suppose everyone. Well, maybe I always make this assumption that roots musicians are influenced by Dylan and pop groups are influenced by the Beatles, but
I always
possibly not. Yeah.
I was always a little bit annoyed by the whole obsession with Dylan and digging into his lyrics. And of course, he's great, but I mean, why obsess so much over one artist when there are thousands and thousands and thousands? There's an overwhelming amount musicians to listen to.
I know what you mean. Because like a lot of times I don't follow a trend. Like it's not that I deliberately don't follow it because everyone else is, but I just get irritated by the fact that everyone keeps talking about it, and something in me like starts not wanting to watch it. Like I don't know. Give you an example. Something like Downton Abbey. Have you ever heard of that show?
Yeah,
it's this famous show in England. I mean, I might enjoy it if I watched it, but I don't know. I just seem to get put off when everyone else is watching something. But now the reason I asked you about influences is I think you told me you don't necessarily listen to that other people's music that much, or you don't learn songs. You don't learn other people's songs.
No, because I'm not.
Because you're doing your own.
I'm not talented enough to be able to reproduce a song quickly. So it takes so much creative effort in order to learn a song, learn the lyrics, learn how to play it, sing it, etc. That it's just easier to write my own song instead of playing someone else's. It takes more effort to learn someone else's music.
And definitely, if you learn too many of other people's songs, it affects your songwriting. Because I mean, I don't really consider myself a songwriter anymore. Like I was fairly prolific, like 15 years ago, and I've written like one song in about 8 years. The mistake I made, like I actually had a paid gig doing a covers thing in a bar in Thailand, and the problem is if you learn too many of other people's songs, as soon as you start songwriting and you go, oh, A minor, E, F, you think, oh, that's whatever by The Who, or if you learn too many tunes, it doesn't work.
My basic strategy, though, when I'm songwriting, though, is just to not pay attention to any of that.
Yeah, just do it.
Just no filter on lyrics or structure. You know, if it sounds right to me, and I don't care what the chord structure is or whatever, as long as it sounds, as it conveys whatever is going on at that time.
I mean, you've got limited chord structures. You're not really gonna.
You're unlikely
to. No. I mean, anybody. You know, unless you're going to go into diminished and augmented and just obsess about that, which
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
You've already lost me. Give me a...
You know major and minor, right?
I think so.
Major, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it's limited on a guitar, like in a rock band. In theory, if you wanted to be really pedantic, you could trace anything back to anything, you know? And there's a really good film, actually. You should watch this if you haven't seen it, called Everything is a Remix. Are you aware of that?
Mm-hmm.
And the guy did a TED Talk as well, and it's absolutely brilliant, because it's just saying like everything comes from something else, and it's just a long line. Like Robert Plant called it a long line of beggars and thieves. You know, everyone sort of nicking from the music they heard, and then it just gradually evolves. So yeah, you definitely shouldn't worry about it, you know, because the folk tradition anyway was to take traditional tunes and put your own words to them. So yeah, who cares? One more question, then we'll get deep and philosophical. So we're going to stay shallow and non-philosophical. Can you think of a song you've written, or do you have a favourite song? And can you think of any song with a theme that you like? Like, presuming your songs have some theme? Or?
Yeah, usually goes one of two ways. Either unrequited love.
Requited love is too boring to sing about.
It's either that or dying. I really, I definitely have an obsession with death, and really like to combine love and death as themes. Love as a motivation for death, either
does that
because of violence or
Yeah.
suicide, anything like that. These are all things that I think go through everybody's brain, and it's a good way to get them out of your brain.
Well, there's been some amazing death songs over the years, and you know, it's an interesting topic. And of course, our society would probably say it's really morbid. Oh, don't talk about death. Like we're getting deep and philosophical now, because I think there's like a fear of death. So I think doing it in a song is a pretty good idea. You know,
it is. I
you're
think
confronting it. It doesn't have to be morbid either.
No, it can be funny. I mean, why not? It's always good to put a little bit of humor, a little irony, sarcasm, to treat things lightly, and then maybe people can confront death a little bit, or their mortality. I don't know. It's really not that serious, though.
Yeah.
I just like to have fun, basically.
Yeah.
So
here's a question for you. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
what
please.
percentage of Americans understand irony?
What?
Give us a ballpark. No, because you mentioned irony.
Why are you picking on us?
I'm not picking on it. No, because you mentioned irony, and if you're from America, so it's kind of a stereotype that Americans don't get irony. So, defend your country if you want.
No.
Not your country's foreign policy, no.
Wait a minute.